So 2026 is looking absolutely stacked as far as festivals are concerned. And this video is just a rundown of at least everything I'm going to and all the festivals I think are definitely worth checking out next year. It's going to focus more on the independent festivals, the smaller ones, as opposed to the huge mainstream giants. And it's going to be mostly in the UK, but with a few on the continent. And also, the information I'm giving is accurate as of recording, as of December the 21st, 2025. So I'm pretty sure by the time this gets published, there'll be some updates. But yeah, I'm working with what's available. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Now, my festival season is going to start in the middle of February here in Manchester as Reaper Festival makes its return. It's not had Reaper Festival for 3 years, but it returns to Manchester. And it's looking at the price point for this. This is £40 for a weekend of black metal and just absolutely outrageous value. It's by the same people who bring us Fortress Festival, and this is like a smaller version of it, really. There's still some exclusive UK shows from the likes of The Spirit, the Crypts also, being a Death Doom band. Crypts will be interesting for that reason, black metal adjacent, bringing something different. There's a nice showcase of British talent there, likes of Offness, aka Enthroned, Blood Countess, they're doing pretty well at the moment, and a rare performance from Barshakev. They headlined Rebellion in 2025, and that was a brilliant show. We've also got Abduction doing a 10-year anniversary set, and they're one of the strongest bands in the UK black metal scene, and definitely worth seeing. The Spirit headlining, had a chance to see them in Bloodstock 2025, but I missed, so this is my opportunity. There's Naxon and Era, I think they're called. I don't know how to pronounce that, but they're both doing their UK debuts, so that'll be fantastic. So yeah, if you're into extreme metal, if you're into black metal, this is definitely worth a go. Next up, I'll be heading back to Belgium for Samhain Antwerp. Now, I went in 2025 and it's an absolutely beautiful city. It's an amazing country, full of amazing architecture, and I fell in love with the place. It's a foodie's paradise also. There's just amazing bars and restaurants everywhere. But this is about the metal, not the food and travel. And yeah, looking at the lineup, at the top, we got Tommy Warriors, Triumph of Death. That's going to be fantastic. A very rare performance. The same with Mysticum. They very rarely play live, and I've heard amazing things about their live show, so that'll be a good one to check out. Rotten Christ also sitting high at the top of the festival card. I think this is the band that, well, it was the band that tipped me over the edge, to be honest. I've seen them a few times, and they've always been amazing. Trix is an amazing venue in Belgium, and amazing sound, and that'll bring out the best of all of them. Lower on the card, we've got some doom metal bands like Esoteric, Wolven Nest, and the Five the Hierophant. Also, The Body, who I've heard great things about. Sprinklings of black metal also. Devilgang of Freiheit, Black Braid, Dodsrit, and Panopticon, who I've been wanting to see for a long time, but I've just never had the chance. So, yeah, it's a bit of a trek getting to Belgium, but I think it's worthwhile for getting to such a beautiful city again and seeing quite a varied lineup like this. Yeah, for the third year in a row, I'll be heading to Incineration Festival in London. I'm just hoping they sort out the crowding issues they had in 2025. That was caused by the Roundhouse only open at 4 p.m., the largest of the five venues, and all the other venues opened a lot earlier at 4 p.m., sorry, at 1 p.m. So that meant there was, massive queues everywhere to get into the smaller venues. And I think that'll be solved if they just open the Roundhouse a lot earlier. And I've heard they'll be doing that, so that'll make the festival a lot more enjoyable. And logistics aside, it's a pretty strong lineup already. This is about half the lineup, but you see at the top, there's going to be Blood, Fire, Death, which is essentially a tribute band to Bavaria, but it's featuring ex-members of prominent black metal bands, including some current members from Enslaved. So yeah, that's going to be a special set. I've got the likes of Hypocrisy headlining the Electric Ballroom, Internal Bleeding headlining the Underworld, Devilgang of Freiheit. But for me, it's all about Dragged into Sunlight. They very rarely play live, and they didn't even play in the UK in 2025, but this is probably going to be the only UK show in 2026, despite being a British band, and it's definitely not one to miss. They put on an absolutely amazing show every time they play. It's just an unforgettable experience. And this really is my unmissable band of the weekend. I'll be heading to Fortress Festival in Scarborough for the third year in a row also, and for good reason. It's an absolute amazing place. It's a nice quiet seaside town, and the venue, the Scarborough Spa, is fantastic. It's just funny really being at this, nice sunny seaside and having this black metal festival there. You can be it's right on the seafront as well, so you can listen to the most grim and evil black metal. Then, literally a minute later, you can be on the seafront having an ice cream. It's an amazing contrast. And it's just nice to escape city life and come to a nice, quaint seaside town. And as you can see at the top of the card, we've got Old Man's Child. They're playing in the UK for the first time since, I don't know, a very, very long time, probably since the late 90s, maybe. And also, Gallow Braid. Yep, Gallow Braid are going to be doing their first ever live show, and maybe the last one, who knows? So that's going to be very special and definitely I was there moment. But for me, there's also bands like Dodheimsgard. They're going to be doing Black Meeting Current in full. That's an amazing album. I got to see them at Samhain Maastricht, and a very entertaining black metal band, and yeah, definitely worth watching. Also, speaking of rare sets, Akakok will be playing Coranson in full. I got to see this played in full at Damnation 2023, and I didn't think we'd ever see them again. They seem to just vanished off the face of the earth. So this is going to be the first show ever. Well, the first show in over nearly 3 years. So it's definitely worth watching. Grosser, a German black metal band who I'm quite fond of. I need to get to see them again. And Miss Firming, they headlined the Ocean Room, the second stage in 2024, and they deserve to be on the main stage. They need to be on the main stage. That little Ocean Room only holds 600 people, but the main stage hosts, about 1,800. So they're a band who, need a stage that size because I've heard great things about the live show and I just need to see it for myself. Fest, that's coming back to Manchester for its fourth edition. I went to the third edition and it was incredible. There's bands like Worm, Skinless, Putridity. They put on absolutely amazing shows, and it really opened up my eyes to the more extreme side of metal and made me appreciate it so much more. And this lineup this year's, I've got to be honest, I don't really know much about any of these bands. I know Development, and they're considered legends in that genre. But yeah, a lot of these bands, I mean, I can't even read half the logos. I've got to be honest with you. But, I love the work that Rancid Awful are doing. They're doing some amazing work. I've been to a few of their shows, like Cytotoxin and Awful Fest 2025. And for me, I'm going in blind. I just want to be entertained by some more extreme metal bands, and I'm pretty sure I'll find a few gems in this year's lineup. Now, Radar Festival, that's taking place in Manchester at the end of July, and it's a brilliant festival. I went to the 2024 edition and had a great time. And it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're into the sort of more progressive, technical side of metal. You've got likes of Diet is Murder, Chelsea Grin, North Lane, Skindred, Animals as Leaders doing a UK exclusive, and it's definitely worthwhile. It's a smaller, more intimate kind of festival, and they went through so much backlash in the middle of 2025 over the whole Bob Violence situation, and I'm not going to open that can of worms, but I'm glad that they're back and they've not folded and they're still going. It's a shame, really. I'm not going to have a chance to go to this festival and explain why in the next clip. But if if this lineup appeals to you, I definitely would recommend it. It's a great festival. So I'll be heading to Germany, to Dortmund for the very first time, the Dortmund Death Fest. And a friend of mine went to the 2023 edition, and he really sold me on it, told me it was a fantastic experience, and I'm looking forward to going there for the first time. At the top of the card, we've got Immolation, the New York, I think they're from, absolute legend in the death metal genre, and I'm looking forward to seeing them for the very first time. Their side, they are one of the forefathers of the genre and one of the reasons death metal exists, and they'll be fantastic. I got to see them in Manchester in 2023, a very hot summer's day, and one of the smallest, hottest, sweatiest gigs ever, but it was an amazing show, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again. I've got the likes of Misery Index, Beheaded, Blood Red Throne, Jungle Rot, Benediction. They're fantastic bands who I've never seen, but I'll get a chance to see them for the first time. And, there's bands like Stillbirth. the Corpse lower on the card, who I'm sure they'll be amazing. You know, it's stacked from top to bottom, and I won't get to see all these bands because I'm getting older. It's harder on me now, but it's going to be a great show. Then immediately after Dortmund Death Fest, I'll be heading over to Brutal Assault in Czechia, and that's going to be absolutely amazing. I've heard so many great things about the festival, but I've never been. The lineup just looks absolutely amazing. Absolutely, I mean, it puts all UK festival lineups to shame. Really, it's just that ridiculously stacked. I mean, just looking at this lineup, this announcement, the very first one with the likes of Alcest, Death Heaven, Seor, Septic Flesh. That was probably enough to sell me, but then they dropped another lineup announcement back in November, I think it was, with Left to Die, which is essentially a death tribute band, but featuring older members and more prominent members in the death metal scene. That's going to be amazing. Wormed, looking forward to seeing them again. Grave, I've heard great things about their 2025 set, so they've been brought back for the 2026 edition. And yeah, Immolation, I'll get to see them twice in the same week potentially, which I'm excited about. And at the end of December, there's another lineup drop. I mean, it's ridiculous. They got Catatonia in there, Solstifia, Batushka, Ruins of Beverast, just Jotun also. There's so much. I mean, it's quite hard to actually find the full lineup poster, but this is the closest thing I could find. And it will take you a while to actually get through it all and see all the bands there. But you know, there's Armon around there also, or Druna somewhere in there. Just I'm really excited to see. I could name all the bands I want to see, but there's probably about a 40-minute video if I did. I'm just so excited about this, and I've never been to Brutal Assault, but it feels like I need to go now, or yeah, I just need to go. And because I'm going to Brutal Assault, I'll sadly miss Bloodstock. I've been every year for the last 4 years, and I'll ruin that streak by not going. But 2025 was an amazing year. But I think, in all honesty, 2026 being the 25th anniversary, it's just I don't think they could live up to those amazing standards. I mean, still some good bands on there. Lamb of God, Sepultura, filling out the Friday at the top of the card. And they've got some interesting headliners. Leprous being on the Saturday and Carpenter Brut being on the Sunday. More left field picks. And Judas Priest being, metal legends, really. It'll be great to see them. But, well, would have been great, but I won't get my chance. Sunday's pretty stacked. They've been after body count for many years, but they finally made that booking. Orbit Culture, they're rising high in the world of extreme metal. Mushroom Head, I'll miss them, but will I get my chance? Who knows? And the elephant in the room, Slaughter Prevail, headline the Saturday, and yeah, I think I get the idea of picking bands who have that headline potential, and you're not going to have headliners unless you pick bands who have that potential to step up to the headline slot. They need that chance, but I just think they're far too green, and I just don't think they're ready for that slot. I mean, I don't really rate them really, and I think it's caused a lot of backlash on social media. A lot of people aren't happy with their inclusion, and I can understand why. So yeah, it'll be a shame to miss it, but I'll be happy going to Brutal Assault, I think. Now, as it stands, I don't think I'm going to go to Arctangent, which is a shame because it's an amazing festival, and this lineup's just, I mean, look at it. At the top, we've got Chelsea Wolf, Primus. They've been trying for years to get Primus, and they finally secured that booking. Julie Christmas and Cult of Luna doing a very rare Mariner set, a 10-year anniversary set, and that's going to be amazing. Also Igor on the lineup. Alcest, Perturbator, fantastic live bands. Napalm Death also, been more of an extreme metal band, so that's more of a left field pick, more of an unusual pick. That summed up the festival really. They really challenged the traditional, boundaries really of metal and music in general. They've always got some pretty cool post rock bands, and it's one of those festivals where you'll turn up and discover your new favourite band. In 2025, I discovered or saw God is an Astronaut. That was one of my favourite sets of all time. Wardruna, also on the Wednesday night. Just an amazing festival, really good, small, manageable. And if you're on the fence about this, definitely give it a go. It's definitely worth trying. I will be heading back to Mangata in Nottingham, not in July, but now in September. It's moved, and it makes a lot more sense. It was pretty damn hot in July, and it'd be good to go to a much cooler festival. It's spread across 4 or 5 venues in the city centre, although they're within like 1 or 2 minutes walk of each other, and got a lot of metalcore sort of bands on there. But yeah, there's such a varied lineup. I'll be most interested in Nordic Giants, being an amazing cinematic post rock band. 100-year-old man, I'm a big fan of. You've not seen Red Method for years, so they'll be. I'm gonna be making sure I'll see them. And so many other great bands. At this year's festival, I found myself just wandering between stages, checking out different bands, and I'm pretty sure they'll pull out some left field picks. And yeah, I trust in what they're doing. They're doing great things. And if you're local to the East Midlands or fancy a bit of a journey to Nottingham, definitely give this a go. I'll be heading to Camden again, but to Cosmic Void for the very first time. And that's always been a kind of more niche black metal festival. But I find it very interesting this year because they still got bands like Eldamar, some more niche black metal bands, but they're expanding the horizons and bringing in more death metal bands just to make it more varied in their new vision, as they say. And they've got likes of Sinister, Hate, and Unleashed. I'm really excited about. Also, Bloodbath headlining one of the nights. The Cult of Fire. They'll be an amazing show. They always put on a fantastic show, and this will be the fourth time I've seen them, and that's really exciting. Vaymod, they released one of my favorite albums in 2024, so I'll get to see them also. Moonspell, great live show. There's, I mean, the more I look at the lineup, I think, oh yeah, I want to see them. I want to see them. I want to see them. Now, I always seem to go to Maastricht in the south of the Netherlands for Samhain Festival in October, and I've not made my mind up yet. I think it's just a bit too early, and there's only 6 bands that have been announced out of roughly 24, 25, and it's just not quite enough to pull me yet. But I've got a lot of faith in Ben and the rest of the team and what they're doing. I'm pretty sure they'll pull out some gems, some left field wonders, and I could find myself on the plane to the Netherlands again in October. Last but not least, we've got Damnation Festival, which is blank at the moment. No bands have been announced at the time of recording, but 2,000 out of about 6,000 tickets have been sold. That's because people put blind faith into the festival because they always take on feedback. They always do their best to put on the best show and experience possible. And the lineup's just always incredible. I find myself seeing new favourites and discovering new gems there. And the community vibe there. I mean, there'll be a chance to see friends I've not seen for several months or longer. And everyone wants to chat about music and everyone's just so friendly and music nerds. It's an amazingly well organised festival. It's amazing vibes. And it's a fixture on my calendar. It's a permanent fixture now. It's only 3 miles from where I live, but that's got nothing to do with it. It's, if you're on the fence about Damnation, just definitely do it. It probably will sell out, so don't waste too much time.